Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Comic Review 47, and in today's underrated comics episode, we're having a look at Silk, one of my favorite alternate versions within the Spider-Verse. She's a very recent comic book character who exists within the main Marvel Universe, otherwise known as Earth 616. Her first appearance was in The Amazing Spider-Man number 1 back in 2014. I need to give it a little bit of background story before moving on to her character. So, Spider-Man's origin is that he was bit by a spider that had absorbed too much radioactivity. This in turn had granted him spider-like powers and he became a superhero as we all know. What Marvel did with Silk, aka Cindy Moon, was change Spider-Man's origin story ever so slightly. So instead of the spider only biting Peter Parker, it went on to bite another girl who was attending his class at the time. This was a sort of soft reboot, which in my opinion was a genius move so as to not overcomplicate things with her origin story. This was shown in her very first appearance as a brief foreshadowing to a new character. At the time, the writers hadn't expanded on her origin until a few issues later. In issue number 4 of the same series, a villain called the Orb had possession of the eye of Uatu the Watcher. Uatu is a Marvel character who simply observes all of the events of the universe but never interferes. This was part of an event titled Original Sin, which I would like to review in the future, along with the two characters I've just mentioned. Anyways, the Orb had used Uatu's eye to reveal many of the Marvel heroes a series of secrets that no one had ever known before. Among these secrets shown was the existence of Cindy Moon and the fact that she was also bitten by the same spider as I've mentioned earlier. It shows glimpses of her origin story. We can see that her parents knew about her powers but didn't know how to help since they were wildly out of control. Because of this, she was trained by Ezekiel, a person who had gained spider powers through rituals. Ezekiel is a character who has helped Spider-Man on a few occasions, most notably with the spider predator named Morlun who hunts down Spider-Man across the universe. In order to protect Cindy Moon from the clutches of Morlun, Ezekiel had locked her in an underground bunker for the rest of her life to protect her, which she had agreed upon as well. A cool thing I saw is that the combination to the bunker says 616 on it, which is the number of the main Marvel Universe. So Spider-Man, with his newfound knowledge, headed over to Cindy's bunker in a fit of mild rage. Peter was mad at Ezekiel because he thought that Cindy was locked up against her will, and he was also not too happy at the fact that the existence of Cindy Moon was kept a secret from him. Spider-Man is welcomed by a pre-recorded message from Ezekiel, and before he could mention why it was that he kept Cindy's existence a secret, Peter breaks the television and opens the vault. He says he doesn't know how he knows the code, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the information given to him by the Watcher's Eye that I have mentioned earlier. Cindy bursts out raging since she is no longer safe from the clutches of Morlun, the apex predator of spider people. After she cools off, she shows that she can make her own organic webbing and creates herself a new costume. She then officially became known as Silk. She then goes off to explore the world and see if she can find her family again. It turns out that after being so long in her bunker, she doesn't actually know where they live anymore since they had already moved out of their previous house long ago. She is confused and upset because although Spider-Man reassures her that Morlun is dead, he adds that it was the second time dying. This enrages her again because she figures that if Morlun died twice, then he could come back to life again and hunt them both. She's actually right about this since we get a glimpse of Morlun from a very far distance catching their scent and is now ready to hunt. She grabs Spider-Man with the barbed tip web, which is actually a cool ability that she has, and then begins to calm down. They both immediately begin to have a sudden and intense sexual craving for each other and begin to have sex. I'm not even joking about this, it's literally shown because their pheromones go crazy when they're near each other. This is due to the fact that they were bit by the same spider and their animalistic instincts kick in, so it's not because they love each other, they just can't control it. Although they're about to get down and dirty, she reveals to Spider-Man that she knows the secret identity and that snaps him out of the tension. After all of this happens, Silk helps Spider-Man go up against Electro, which gives her some first-hand experience. This led up to the Spider-Verse event in which all of the spider people were being hunted by Morlun and his family called the Inheritors. This is what Cindy Moon had feared of in the first place, but with the help of the other spider people they were able to fend off these spider hunters temporarily. After this, she was deemed a popular enough character to have a solo limited series that spanned for 7 issues. This series is more of a drama and slice of life type series, but it is an interesting read. In this series, we get to see more of her lifestyle outside of just being Silk. A few more of her powers are shown in this series. One of these is the ability to create literal clothing, which I'm sorry, but it seems to be a totally dumb concept to me. It was one thing that when she could make clothes out of pure webbing, but in this series she makes a full set of clothes with color and texture, which literally makes no sense to me. Her webbing seems to last for a very long time since her artificial clothing stays on all day. So Silk is also shown to have an eidetic memory, which is another result of her spider powers, which basically means that she can remember a lot of minor things in great detail. One of these memories is what is presumed to be the last fight she had with her parents before being locked in her bunker for years, to which her parents are upset that she was dating a boy and not focusing so much on her grades. She responded by telling her parents that she hates them, and it shows that she had regretted saying that ever since. In issue 2, we see that Cindy had a very hard time finding her parents since they did all of their payments anonymously and in cash. This was done with the help of Ezekiel, who is now dead as of the time that the issue was written, so she had no way of asking him for help. She was also known to have had a boyfriend who she had dated for 6 months. We found out that she had to break up 10 years ago with him in order to keep him safe too. She finds her ex-boyfriend now in the present, and he tells Cindy that he has a fiancé, and she is heartbroken by this. We're also shown that she has razor-sharp claws that can literally cut through metal when she fights an octopus robot made by Hydra. In this series, she gets entangled with crimes that the Black Cat is committing. Cindy eventually finds a lead on her parents, but with a twist. She ends up being captured by an underground mechanic who makes parts for henchmen and villains. He tells Cindy that he works for very wealthy people that have her parents captured, and that the bunker she had lived in for 10 years also had a camera that was observing her. Before Cindy can ask him who these people are, he's killed indirectly by Black Cat since the ceiling had collapsed. Black Cat has bad luck powers, so this is a side effect of that event. She may have lost this lead to her parents, but she at least knows that she was being watched. She eventually managed to get her boss, J. Jonah Jameson, to help her out since he felt the ethical need to do so. Jonah eventually found a very small but useful piece of information with the help of his police contacts. He told Cindy that there are records of someone that was caught by the police by the name of James Park, who was involved with the gang called the Goblin Nation. When asked for his name initially, however, he had stated that his name was Albert Moon. This takes Cindy by surprise and puts her in denial because she figures that her brother would never do such a thing. Jonah tells her to take a chance anyways and go find him, which was challenging to do since the world was literally about to end. This storyline takes place minutes before Marvel's Secret Wars event, but she was eventually able to find her brother in the end of the issue. She later had another series after the events of Secret Wars had been set in motion. In this new series, she has to deal with a new enemy known as the Goblin Gang, who work under the leadership of the Goblin King, who is a villain who has also shown up in the Superior Spider-Man series. She helps her brother get into a rehabilitation center where they tell her that her brother has a very severe memory loss and had lost some brain function. The only thing that he had really remembered was when he was younger with Cindy and her parents. Aside from that, he had only really remembered the last few days or weeks. In order to avenge her brother, Silk wanted to take down the Goblin Gang along with the King. She had struck a deal with S.H.I.E.L.D., who promised to look into her parents' whereabouts in exchange for a device that was in the possession of Black Cat. Cindy had worked for Black Cat in order to also secretly gain her trust to find out more about the Goblin King. I won't spoil the ending for you guys in case you want to check this series out for yourselves. So although Silk has become somewhat of a popular character within the comics, I still feel that she is highly underrated and has not earned enough attention. First of all, she has been hugely overshadowed by Spider-Gwen, who is now popular within the mainstream media thanks to the Into the Spider-Verse movie. Silk has barely any appearances at all outside of the comics except in future projects, so that also doesn't give her much of the spotlight for now. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments section how you feel about Silk as a character. Do you like her story? Do you think she's underrated? Feel free to share your thoughts. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.